What's going on, pound for pound family? It's your boy Mike Dub, and hey, it's another week, and we get to talk Dirty Birds. But first and foremost, before we talk Dirty Birds, if you're a Hawks fan like me, it's got to be weird to you to be able to support your team this late in the year. Usually in mid-June, we're probably getting ready to just think about, okay, training camp is about to get ready to happen for the Falcons. We need to go ahead and start getting ourselves ready to be in place to go to Flowery Branch for a couple of practices. But it's crazy, for as much as we are able to talk about the Falcons and Arthur Smith and Julio with the crazy offseason we had, there's nothing hotter in the city right now than these Atlanta Hawks. And that's a big shout out to the only number 11 I'm going to acknowledge in the city right now, Trae Young, who is literally morphing into a superstar. That's right, not just star, superstar in front of our eyes. But again, shout out to the Hawks. We love the Hawks. The city is behind you. Give us something to cheer about, because we'll all be better as a city if y'all can, bring us a little bit of love to the party. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the Hawks. Dirty Birds. So as I talk to you guys today, it's mid to late June. And, we always talked about really two major dates before the regular season starts, before training camp starts, before all of that stuff starts. And that was the draft and June 1st. So, as we look back a little bit, we go down memory lane, we look a little bit about the draft. We say, well, hey, draft went really successful. We hit a lot of different needs. We got really good grades as far as the undrafted free agents, as far as, drafted agents. We've seen these guys go through a couple of, OTAs. We've seen Kyle Pitts kind of look as advertised. Richie Grant really, really starting to gain traction. He's signed, starting to get some of the lofty comparisons. And really shout out to Richie Grant, first and foremost, before we go into free agents and what's left. I think Richie Grant, looking back on it, will be a guy that will be a cornerstone for this defense for probably the next 5 to 10 years. I don't really want to give comparisons of who they are saying he could potentially be like, but I think I would look for him to come out of the gate ready to roll. Like, he's a guy that I think if he would have left college a year early, I think he would have been ready for the NFL. So I think having an extra year in college, continuing to get better, making plays at the Senior Bowl, it does nothing but help the likeness and the brand for a guy like Richie Grant. But let's go back to these Falcons right now. All right. So, we kind of know where we are a little bit, but, are we a team right now that's ready to compete for the Super Bowl? In my honest opinion, the answer is no. Not ready to compete for a Super Bowl out the gate, but are we a highly competitive team who will battle it tooth and nail every game? And I think that we'll win more than we lose. I absolutely am on board with that narrative, because I do think that, if you look at a lot of the areas where we are traditionally weak, I think we've turned that into a strength. Prime example is the safety spot. I think Deron Harmon, Richie Grant, I think having Eric Harris. I still think the growth of Jalen Hawkins will be something that we watch this season. I do think that we fundamentally are in a position where we will be able to make some noise, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I think the combination of Dean Pease, as we always talk about, the good coaching, just Dean Pease just being a guy that he can work with what he has. I think he has a lot to work with. And I do think that pressure will come a lot of different ways, than what we're used to seeing, right? So when we talk about free agency at this point, post June 1st, I think that, for as much as we still do have gaps, I think with Gano getting hurt, we may still have a gap there at left guard in terms of who's the swing tackle, who's the guard, So we still got a lot of room for open competition right now, on the offensive side of the ball. But if I really had to look right now with where we still have some gaps, and I would say a glaring hole in terms of we really need to fill this position with the, renewed cap space that we got, with the Julio Jones trade that is signed, sealed, and delivered. And I would say, someone asked me on Twitter, they said, well, what is our last most critical position that we need to fill? And I would say, for me, I think even though we've gotten guys, we put guys out there, and from just signing, I saw Sharif Miller, just guys like this, I would say it's definitely the edge position. So, the edge position has always been a tricky position for us as Falcons fans, because What we still looked and hope to do is find us a edge rusher that we can organically grow within the Falcons organization, where we don't have to post June 1st look to acquire these guys who are already proven established pass rushers in the league. So this year is kind of no different. I think we've got some guys with good potential, some guys that may be able to get after the quarterback. I think the Adita Kumbo Okundeji is probably a guy that will probably play really good against the run. I'm not necessarily sure if he has the tools to be just with his game, maybe a dominant pass rusher in the future. But again, he looks good, looks functional. Twan Griffin, guys like that. I think we've strengthened the position, but still got a couple superstars out there. So, just looking at, overthecap.com, I went and said, okay, well, who are some of the top remaining edge rushers that are still out there? So, you've got Melvin Ingram still out there. You've got Justin Houston still out there. Olivier Vernon still out there. Trent Murphy is still out there. Everson Griffin. Household names. A lot of these guys are a little bit older, a little bit longer in the tooth in terms of what they may be able to give you at this point in their careers. But I do think that a couple of these guys may actually be worth the flyer on. And I'll start with the two alpha dogs out of this group, and that is Justin Houston and Melvin Ingram, for different reasons, right? I think Justin Houston, since he's been in the NFL, has been nothing but a productive pass rusher. I think he's a guy that does not require a lot of coaching. He understands what his role is, and I think you just kind of have to let him know what you expect of him, and he'll play that role. And right now, on a defense like we currently have, I do think, the Justin Houstons of the world, the Melvin Ingram, just from a veteran leadership, just having another proven, established veteran guy can do nothing but help this defense. The only problem I would say, and again, I'll kind of get into the problems a little bit. I would say with a Melvin Ingram, it kind of behooves me a little bit that a guy like this is still on the market. It's made $16 million pass rusher. You might ask yourself, why is a guy like this on the market? Torn ACL. The Chargers decided it was in their best interest to mutually kind of cut bait with what was considered their top tier pass rusher at the time. And I'll tell you why it concerns me a little bit. Just from a small sample size standpoint, and I hate to compare the two guys because they're different players, and I think Melvin Ingram has been a much better player in the NFL than this guy. But I feel like we already have Dante Fowler on this roster. I'm not necessarily sure, even with the talent that Melvin Ingram possesses, that coming off an ACL, we want to spend top flight money on somebody coming off of an ACL injury. I'd rather we have a platoon and we just try to get after the quarterback than a guy more so like Melvin Ingram, which is why I would say, if I had to skew a little bit more to guys that I would probably take a healthier flyer on, I would say Justin Houston and Olivier Vernon to a lesser extent, because I think you may be able to get Olivier Vernon at more of like a vet minimum, and he's a guy that without a lot of pressure or expectations on him, I still think Olivier Vernon is maybe a 6 to 8 sack guy in the league. So part of it is this. What we're going to find is Dean Pease is going to get pressure on the quarterback from different ways. So if we're expecting all of the sacks to come from the outside linebacker in his defense, we're a little bit mistaken. Majority of the pressure for, this particular defense, it's going to come from the linebacker position, outside. You're going to have blitzing nickelbacks, blitzing from the dime. You will see it coming multiple corners blitzing. Safety blitzes, again, we may just send an all 11 blitz, the old grits blitz, but no, in all seriousness, I do think that we do have the cap space to make a move. I do think that, some of the moves I would like to see, and again, I don't want to just harp too much on the edge, is, edge rusher, would love to see another guard potentially come in and keep things competitive. I think Josh Andrews is off to a good start, but definitely not the 16-game answer. I would also like to see, maybe another cornerback brought in with some experience. I do like Fabian Moreau, and we don't know where Sheffield is what he's gonna grow into. A lot of the hungry rookies, Darren Hall, Xavier Williams. There's a lot of talent there, right? But again, somebody still has to step up. Now, out of all these names we just named, somebody will step up, and we will have a few new household names. And again, I definitely expect by the end of the season, Richie Grant to be kind of coming off the mouth of a lot of people in Atlanta with just his work ethic and just that swagger, man, because this defense needs dogs. Like, we're Falcons. This is a Falcons Birds channel, but this defense needs some dogs. It needs some guys that are able to kind of roll their sleeves up and take us to the next level. But again, man, it's June. We rambling around a lot of topics. We don't have this is gonna happen next week. This is where y'all just lock into us, man. Y'all tune into us. We got some surprises coming to you guys over the next couple of weeks, months, in terms of just some of the things we're planning for you guys. But y'all are the reason why we do this. So, I'll end it with a question, because I've talked and done all of that type of stuff. Who do you guys, what gaps do you continue to see? Who are some of the guys you would like to see in a Falcons uniform? And what do you think it's going to take for us to get those guys in that uniform? So the questions is really more to y'all this week, because again, I don't do it for myself. It's for y'all and vice versa, because the love y'all give is unrivaled. I do think that we have one of the best fan bases in all of sports. One of the best fan bases in all of sports. And, again, man, y'all know the way we roll. Right now we are supporting these Hawks. But at the end of the day, if we don't do nothing else, we're going to rise up. And we're going to catch y'all next week. Love, Mike Dub, pound for pound. Follow me on Twitter, MIKE_DUB. I'm out.